Just one of the many, many moments that you can both read and listen to. One of the comments she made in the book, I took a group of boys to the Arctic and returned with a group of men.
We had really learned to work together as a team, and they covered a portage for 3 days. We covered a grueling portage. We moved thousands of pounds of equipment over very rough terrain, and not one individual quit, not one individual complained. They were just a tremendous group of soldiers, and I was very proud of them.
Does us proud too.
Yep.
Now, Marina, you weren't married to this man yet.
No, I missed out on that adventure.
Would you have let him do this? I mean, I guess
Well,
you
I
had
don't
no
know. I
choice.
would have prayed him through big time, but God was looking after him.
How many lives did you say you're counting?
18. He's up to 18.
18.
Yeah.
I mean, just one incident was jumping out of a plane and no chute opening.
That's right.
Would have
Yep.
been, yeah, scary. And your children, who I hope they'll be joining us briefly at the end of our time, they say the best adventures are still to come.
Still to come. This is Volume 1. Volume 2 is written and submitted with Tate Publishing. We hope to have it published in 2010. And they like Volume 2.
Well, thank God for dads who tell the stories,
Yeah.
and children who listen to them and encourage.
Yep.
You've been a big encouragement, Marina, too, in this project.
Hopefully, yes.
This book's dedicated to you.
Yes. Well, I was privileged to do the last edit, and I was a little nervous because wives sometimes are, you know, we look at things differently, and I didn't want to sort of put a damper on it. And when I read it, I said to Steve, I am so proud of you. This is the best thing I've read in a long time. I was just astounded at how interesting, well written, and informative it was. And so it's a great book.
Okay, Amazon.com or gallantadventures.ca. Did God ever give you a good name? You with the 18 lives.
You with my 18 lives. I was very blessed.
Okay, now, you know what? I hate to leave this. Is there something more you would like to say about what this meant in your life and in your journey before we go to the chick flick?
Well, it was really God speaking to me and really demonstrating His miraculous power. And God doesn't always take you out of a situation when it gets difficult. He takes you through it. And He took me through the river and through the fire.
Oh, we didn't mention the fire. That's the last chapter. House burning down and you in it. And yeah.
God's a miracle working God.
You actually conclude the book, I'm sure I can find it quickly, with a scripture that became apparent after all of this. And I'm sure many of you are thinking of it already. Isaiah 43, verse 2. This is the King James, when thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flames kindle upon thee. This is your story.
Yes.
At least for this book,
Yep.
and maybe 3 to come. We're just going to have to be patient.
There you go.
Okay, turn the page now. We have a whole new story.
New adventure.
And Marina, this starts with you. This is a real-life romance. And do you know, there is a song in my heart from My Fair Lady.
Ooh.
On the street where you live. You literally were house-sitting on the same street in Ottawa where this guy was
Living with his
boarding.
aunt. Yeah, living with his aunt and uncle. And that was one of the times that we had actually encountered each other without actually meeting, if that's possible. And I was going for walks every day past the house, and Steve says he does remember me walking past the house as he was out on the front, you know, playing with his nieces and nephews.
Did you take a second look?
Oh, yes, definitely. I thought she was beautiful.
And so, yeah, I was house sitting up the street, and I was going to university at the time in Ottawa. And another time I was living in Cobourg.
Now this is 2 years later.
This is 2 years later, and I was working in a restaurant, and I was working my way through university. So I was working just the one afternoon shift that I never worked. I was covering for somebody who was sick. And Steve had come in. He was still in the military at that point. He came in with a friend, and I seated him. And again, you know, I can't respond to your reaction, but he had, you know, perhaps put 2 and 2 together and thought, here she is again. I don't know, I can't go that far.
From Ottawa to Cobourg,
Yes.
you,
Yes.
2 years later, you knew this was the same girl who had passed your house?
She looked so familiar, and I was so mesmerized with her when she sat me the first day, my friend and I, that I went back for the next 4 days to lunch trying to meet her again because I was just, wow.
She wasn't there.
And I wasn't there. I had covered one shift.
What is this, Sleepless in
Serendipity.
Seattle?
Yeah,
I don't know, it's one of those
serendipity, yeah.
movies. Okay, looking for Marina. 1 year later, you left the military, you were campaigning, you're a politician.
Well, I was running for the nomination for a major political party, was not successful. The individual who won the nomination, he asked me to be his campaign manager. So him and I were working the campaign trail, and I was giving a lot of speeches and working with him.
And Marina, you didn't know anything about this, but your mother did.
She did. She had seen Steve give speeches and heard him give speeches, and she endorsed him. And I do value the opinion of my mother and my father at the time, who was living at the time, and they thought the world of him, and I thought, well, that's the green light. And we had a mutual friend. Steve was teaching Taekwondo at the time. And
You're a black belt, aren't you,
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Ooh, okay.
So we tread very lightly at home, but no, and so she, Tally, our friend, was one of his pupils and just thought the world of him. So I kept hearing all these really great reports of Steve Gallant, and she was determined that we meet and that we should be together.
Now, in fact, did she not feel that her destiny purpose
Yes.
was to get you two together?
Yes.
So
She's-
she was
yeah.
committed to make this happen.
Definitely. For 6 months, we tried to meet. She tried to, I would come after school, and she had a store downtown. We would sit and chat. She would say, I want you to meet Steve. Let's go to the campaign office and go meet him there. I know he's there. He would have just left. So we kept missing each other for 6 months. I said, Tally, this is not meant to be. It's not going to work. Let it go. And she would not let it go. She said, God put me on this earth to put you two together. And after all those encounters, I did believe her after we put 2 and 2 together and realized that we had met each other so many times over the years. And then now in Coburg, it's God. It's God.
And it actually happened at the studio, the martial arts studio that
Yes.
you met.
Yes, it did.